demonstrate what that's going to look like. And we're actually going to do two different rounds. The first round, we're going to all do all of the exercises seated. The second round, I'll demonstrate them standing, and then you can choose if you want to do them seated again. Great. If you wanted to try them standing, great. It's truly up to you. If we have time, we'll do a third round, but I think we might just get to the two. So when that time comes, I will let you know, but we'll start with our cardio, as I always like to do, because cardio exercise first, before our MS specific exercise, primes our brain for neuroplasticity. So that's what we will get started with. Make sure you have some water nearby, especially if you have heat intolerance. Our core temperatures can rise when we get hot. Or sorry, our core temperatures rise when we exercise. So we want to make sure we keep them cool. Here's my list of exercises. That should be good. All right. Can you hear me okay from back here? All right, so for our cardio exercise, we're just gonna use our arms. So ideally we're sitting in the middle of our chair, up nice and tall, core muscles are firm, hands are going to be in light fists, and we're just going to start pumping. So go ahead and start pumping with me. We're gonna go for approximately 30 seconds. And the goal here is cardio. So typically the quicker you move, the more your heart rate's gonna rise, but you can go fast or you can go slower, but bigger movement. It truly doesn't matter. However your body feels it wants to move today works. We're just trying to raise our heart rate beyond our normal baseline heart rate. So keep those arms swinging. A few more seconds. All right, slow it down, then stop and shake it out. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Our next one that we're going to do is our forward punches. So hands are going to be, again, just in light fists. We're not squeezing heavily. Hands in light fists, and you're just going to punch forward at shoulder height. Similar concept with our arm swing. You can go fast, or you can go a little bit slower. Whatever works for you, but make sure you're choosing a speed that allows your your heart rate to rise. Keep your core muscles tight. If this bothers your shoulders at all, you can punch down here. Or if you have one shoulder with good mobility and one shoulder with poor mobility, it can be uneven. You can have one punching forward, one punching down. Truly just make this work for you. You should feel successful with this. Keep going. Awesome. Okay, slow it down. And then shake out, especially if your hands got a little tight, open those fingers up. Shake everything out. Next one is this one, I don't know why, but it's one of my all-time favorites, is the rotational punches. So very similar to that one we just did, light fists, but we're turning as we punch. So notice that my legs aren't moving. I'm not swaying from side to side. It's just my upper body. And when you're ready, go ahead and join me. Same thing as the first two. Pick a speed that works for you. If you really want to turn and twist it out, that's going to require you to go a little bit slower. But if you want to go faster, just don't rotate as much. So pick a speed that works for you. Also, if your heart rate is not up yet, even in the slightest bit, talk out loud. Count what number you're on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7, 8, 9, 10. Just by counting out loud, it requires you to use your breath, and it's a little bit harder for cardio. So keep going. Keep those core muscles tight. If you let them loose, tighten them again. Same thing here. If you have shoulder range of motion limitations, you can punch down. All right, slow it down, and then you can stop and shake it out. Take some deep breaths if you need to. And our last one is going to be our reach and pull. This one is great for cardio, but it also works our core muscles. So we're going to reach as high as we can with an open hand, and then slowly pull down with a closed hand. Then reach and pull. If you have shoulder range of motion limitations, you can pull from your forehead down or your chin and down, whatever your mobility allows you to do. So when you're ready, go ahead and join me. And similar to the previous three, go at whatever speed feels comfortable to you, knowing that the quicker, the more your heart rate will increase. But if you can do quicker, great. If not, that's okay too. Reach and pull, reach and pull. This works a lot, as I'm sure you might be able to feel. It works our shoulders, our abs, our outside of the core, our arms, our elbows, our hands, so many muscles. Reach and pull. Keep going. This one I think is a little bit more challenging just because it requires more effort to reach all that way up. Let's do a few more. All right, and then when you're ready, slow it down and then shake out. We'll do a quick stretch and then we'll do one more round of our cardio. So analyze how your heart rate feels right now. If it hardly increased, go a little bit faster during our second round. If you're feeling wiped already, go a little bit slower and adjust as necessary. So I just want you guys to round your back. I like to pull my hands forward, but it instead could be the cat-cow. Really round. And then slowly go into the, I think this is the cow, right? I can never remember which is the cat and which is the cow. We're gonna arch our back and then slowly round it again forward. And hold that. Let your shoulder muscles go. And then arch it again. It can feel really nice to take a deep breath when your back is arched. So if you feel need to, go for it. And then come out of that, and we're just gonna do one twist per side. So twist over. I like to hold the back of my chair, just get a little further twist. And then when you're ready, we'll go the other way. Nice and slow movements. And slowly release that. Okay, now your heart rate should be down a little bit. So we're doing a little bit of high intensity interval training where we increase our intensity, then we slow it down. So we're just gonna repeat our cardio circuit. So hands in like this, and when you're ready, go ahead and join me and we'll pump away. You can go faster than last time or slower than last time. One thing I want to focus on during this round is making sure our knees are pointing forward and that they're not collapsing in. We'll work on that a little bit today too, but it's good to have proper positioning. All right. Remember not to be squeezing your fist too much. And again, you can just stay down here if that's what feels better for you. When you're ready, slow it down and then shake your hands out. We're not going to take as long of a break. So as soon as you're ready, hands are going to go in light fists again, and we're punching forward. If you need to take more of a break, feel free to. But because this is our cardio section, we're purposely not taking a longer break to allow our heart rate to get high. Keep going. Now, one thing that I don't think I've mentioned yet about getting our heart rate up, there's tons of MS-specific research that has proven that doing cardio first can prime our brain for neuroplasticity. But there's no research yet with specific details, such as how high does my heart rate need to get? How long do I need to be able to do cardio for? So for now, we're just doing any bit of cardio, but hopefully within the next couple of years, maybe months, but probably years, we'll learn a little bit more about the specifics. Okay, slow it down, then shake out. And then after a few seconds, we're gonna go into our rotational punches. So if you need to take a deep breath, go ahead and do that. Hands are gonna be in like this and turn and punch. Keep your core muscles nice and firm right here. Whatever speed feels comfortable to you. Knees are facing forward. Nice job. All right, couple more. All right, okay, slow it down and then stop and shake it out. And then our final one is the reach and pull. So we're, again, hands open as wide as you can get that hand, reach and pull down, then reach and pull, wherever it works for your shoulder and elbow range of motion. So the goal is to go quick just to get our heart rate up. But that can be hard when you're reaching so high, so just listen to your body. Join me when you can, reach and pull. And if you're watching the recording of this, if for some reason your heart rate isn't up, you can do each of these exercises for a little bit longer, maybe a minute each, or you can go faster or do a third round. We're doing 2 right now. Keep going, a few more. I'm already getting a little warm. All right, slow it down and then stop and shake it out. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate walking and then we're going to do those walking exercises. So for you guys right now, you can take a sip of water, you can do those same cat-cow stretches or rotational, but watch me as I'm going to be demonstrating. So I'm gonna take a sip first. And I'll put it over here actually so it's not in the way. Okay, so I want to demonstrate walking. So I want you to focus on this leg, the one that's closest to you. And I'm just going to show you exactly what movements go into walking. Then we're going to do those movements as our exercises, which is the definition of what a functional exercise is. So in order for me to move this leg forward, I first need to be able to shift my body weight forward. Then I need to bend my knee. Then if you look at my ankle, I need to swoop my ankle up. Then bring my knee up, whoop, then straighten my knee and put my heel down. That's 6 things. And all while this leg was doing that, as it was moving forward, I was standing on one leg. So there's 7 things that we need to do to improve our walking. A lot of those are strengthening, some are balance, some are weight shifting. So today we're focusing on our strengthening components. So the components we're specifically focusing on are going to be the bending of the knee, the swooping of the ankle, and this knee lifting, as well as this actually. We're going to do 4. So keep in mind, do the best you can. These are often pretty challenging because they're the muscle groups that MS has a tendency to attack. So let me just lower my screen a little bit more. Make sure you can see me. Okay. Still see my head? You can, awesome. Okay, so we're going to start with our ankle. Let me move back a little bit. So for our ankle, I want you ideally to be sitting in the middle of your chair. If that's too challenging, especially because we just did cardio, you can lean back a little bit. But you'll be sitting in the middle, and I want your knees to be bent, but extended further away from you. So if I show you from the side, this is one really cool trick to make this exercise a little bit easier. Instead of trying to do this at a 90-degree angle right here, straighten your knees slightly. So your feet are still flat, but they're extended away from you. And now we're just going to do one foot, then the other foot as we slowly raise it up and then lower down. And then same thing on the other side. So we're going to go nice and slow. We'll do 10 each side. And I want you to keep doing this even if, as you fatigue, the muscles don't lift your foot as high or maybe even at all. We're still trying to strengthen that neural pathway. And just so it's clear, this is the same thing, the same muscle group that you need stronger in order to swoop your toes up when I was standing. So when you're ready, sitting up tall, core muscles are tight, go ahead and lift one ankle and then slowly lower. Then lift the other ankle, slowly lower. For me, when I'm lowering, I get this jerkiness and it shakes on its way down, and that's okay. Slowly lower. So you can go at my speed or you can go at your own speed. Slowly lower. Up and down. So there's a slight pause at the top. It can sometimes help if you actually look at your feet. Down. Slowly up and down. Up and down. Up, down, up, slight pause, down. So that's 5 each. We're going to do 5 more on each side. Down, up, and down, up, and down, up, and down, up. It's really important that we're going slow on the way up and down. I don't know if you guys have heard of the terminology called foot slap, but foot slap means you might have decent strength as you're lifting up, but your foot slaps down. And you're the type of walker where we can hear you coming because your feet are slapping down. So slowly controlling it on the way down is the way to prevent that from happening. 2 more each side. Down, up, down. 1 more each side. Lift and pause. Down. 1 more on the other side. Lift and down. Okay, if your ankles are sore, feel free to give them a little massage down into your calf muscles or even down in your ankles, or you could bring your leg up. Whatever you got to do if you feel like you need to rest those muscles. Those are small muscles and we just did a lot of work for them. We're going to give those a break. And now you can sit further back in your chair. So slightly reclined, still keeping your core muscles tight. And now we're going to work on the piece of walking that requires this as well as that. So we're sitting supported. And you're just going to straighten your knee as far as you can, and then slowly bend it as far as you can. Now, you'll see I don't have anything under my chair, so I can freely move underneath my chair. If you're using a chair that is not free underneath, that is totally fine. Just push into the chair as resistance. So either way, it's fine. If this is really challenging for you, you can grab something slippery. I just happen to have these index cards right here. So you can grab that and slide. And then when you bend, your foot lands there and it slides it back. So you can use something to make it easier if this is pretty challenging for you. We're going to do 10 each side. So sitting up, tighten your core. Hands can be wherever they're comfortable for you. And slowly straighten and back. Then the other leg, straighten and back. And it doesn't have to fully straighten. For all of these exercises, just do what you can do. Straighten it as much as you can and bend it as much as you can. And down, straighten and down. And as you notice too, there's a little bit of a pause at the top here and then bend. And there's a pause at the back as well. And down, straighten, and bend. Now, if you have spasticity, you might be able to straighten, but then you have to wait for the spasticity to lessen as you bend it. That's okay too. Again, just listen to your body for all of this and go at whatever speed your body can tolerate. And down, straighten, and down, straighten, and back, release. That was 5. back, release, straighten, just slow and steady. A lot of people skip these exercises because they're, to be honest, pretty boring, but we need strength in these muscles if we want to bend our knee, lift our ankle, and lift our hip in order to do things like walking, stair climbing, getting into and out of a car, getting into and out of bed. Down, straighten, bend. And for those of you wondering, when we are straightening our leg, we're strengthening our quads right on the top of our thigh. And then when we're bending, we're strengthening our hamstrings on the back of our thigh. 2 more each side, straighten and bend, straighten and bend, and 1 more each side, straighten and bend, and last one, straighten and bend. Okay, if you need to massage your thighs at all, we just work those heavily, so you can do that. We're gonna go back to our ankle. So to give our thighs a break, we'll do ankle and then 1 more for the thighs. So I'm gonna face you for this one. And this is pretty challenging to see, but we're going to be focusing on, I'm gonna really exaggerate the movement just so you can see it at first, but we're gonna be focusing on moving our ankle out. So if you watch this leg, we're gonna be moving it out like that. Now this is a big exaggeration. This muscle group should only move your foot about 7 degrees, maybe 10 degrees out. So not very far, and we're using these muscles. So the trick is to try to keep your knees and your ankle bones facing forward. You're only allowing your foot to go out as far as it can without the leg rotating. So now my knee's facing that way instead of here. So we're going to be sitting up tall. You can be relaxed for this one as well, whatever feels best to you and easiest, but that's what it's going to look like. We're just scooting it out. Your big toe and the inside of your foot stays down the whole time. Your pinky side of the foot can stay down the whole time, or it can lift, whatever feels easier for you. And we'll do the same thing each side. So 10 each side. We will do, let's do all 10 on one side first, then we'll switch. Okay, so when you're ready, go ahead and scoot it out and then relax. So when you relax, it should bring it back in. Scoot it out and relax. Out and relax. Out. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of people with MS who can't do this exercise because it's a really small muscle and it has a lot of action to try to lift that foot. So it can be really challenging to even understand what the exercise is, nevertheless actually doing the exercise. Out and in, that's 5. We have 5 more. In, out, pause, and in, out, and in, out, and in. 1 more. Out and in. You'll know you're doing it correctly if where you feel it most is anywhere on the outside of your calf muscles. Okay, same thing on the other side. When you're ready, go ahead and scoot it out and in. I don't have as much mobility on this side, so it's not going as far, and that's okay. In, out, and in, out, and in. If this is really, really, really challenging for you, then I am going to assume that when you walk, you might be a person whose foot rolls in, because this is the muscle responsible for bringing the foot out so it doesn't roll in like that. Out. This is 7. And in. Out. And in. 2 more. Out. And in, out, and in. Good. Okay, and then the last one we're going to do is marching. So we're going to do it seated, but it's responsible for this movement. So You can either sit up tall. It's a little bit harder if you sit up tall. So if that's too challenging, you can just lean back against your chair. And we're just going to lift down. You can hold on to your chair, put your hands on your belly, put your hands on your thighs, whatever feels comfortable to you. So we're going to alternate 10 total on each side. Lift as high as you can, even if one leg hardly lifts. Bonus points if you can get your toes up, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay, when you're ready, lift, pause, down. Lift, pause, down. Lift, pause, down. Lift, pause, down. So we're going at a decent speed here. Lift, pause, down. Lift, and down. One reason that I actually like doing this on screen is because I can see what my legs look like. Sometimes I have a tendency to have my knee fall out. Make sure that's not happening to you. You want your legs staying in this neutral position. And down. Lift, down. Lift. Keep your core muscles tight regardless of how you're sitting. Lift, down. Lift, down. Lift, down. Lift. You might be getting tired. Down. 2 more each side. Lift, down. If you can't add the pause, that's okay. Just go slow and controlled. 1 more time each side. Lift, down, lift, and down. Okay, my hip flexors get really tight from that one. Okay, good job. So that was 1 round through the exercises. So we're going to do a second round. Now, I did say I'm going to demonstrate the second round standing. If you want, you can do them standing. You definitely don't have to. But I actually am going to do both of the ankle ones seated, only because I feel like it's a little bit more effective to do them seated where you don't have to worry about balance. So our first one, we're going back to the ankle dorsiflexion. So that's the one where you were sitting with your knees extended away from you, but feet were still flat on the ground. And you're going to lift one side, then the other side. If you do have a resistance band, you can use that to assist you. You don't need to, but you can put around your toes and use it to help you lift your ankle. So when you're ready, sit up tall, whether you're leaning or not, flat back, tighten your core muscles. Hands can go wherever you feel comfortable, and slowly lift and down. Then the other side, lift, down, lift, pause, down. It's nice and slow and steady both ways. Down, lift, down, lift, down, lift, down, lift, down, lift, down. These are definitely slower exercises, but again, when we try to do exercises that have bigger movements, maybe are a faster speed, you utilize the muscles that are already strong instead of strengthening these weaker ones. Good, 5 more each side. Lift, down, lift, down. If your ankle's getting tired, that's okay. Just don't lift as high. Lift, down. Keep your core muscles tight. Lift, down, lift, down, lift, lift. 1 more each side. Lift, down, and the other side. Lift, and down. Again, you'll know you're doing that right if you felt it mostly somewhere in the front of your ankle or front of your shin. Okay, so this next one for our leg kicks, I am actually going to demonstrate standing. You can do them seated. If you do them seated, it was this one where you straighten and then bend, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Slightly different when we're standing. You might lose my head in the video, but that's okay. My leg is the most important part. So we're going to weight shift over in this direction. So I'm going to weight shift onto my right leg, then I'm going to bend my knee, and then straighten it and place it down. Then shift over this way. Then bend my knee, then straighten it and put it down. So the trick is you have to be able to shift your weight over first. If I try to bend this knee and I still have weight on this side of my body, well, then I'm going to fall in that direction. So shift your weight off, then straighten and place it down. Shift, bend, straighten, down. So you can do it seated or standing. I'll demonstrate in standing for those that want to follow along. Either way, we're going to go at the same speed. So when you're ready, you're either sitting or standing up tall, tightening your core muscles and your butt muscles. Shift your weight, so bend, straighten, down and shift sides. Bend, straighten, down, shift and bend, straighten, down, bend, straighten, down and shift, bend, straighten, down, bend, straighten, down. Now keep going at this speed. If you're standing, this exercise right here where you're bending your knee can cause Charlie horses and cramping. It's an intense exercise. So if that happens, just don't bend your knee as much, or you can even stop, take a break, shake your legs out, do whatever you gotta do. That's 5, so we're gonna do 5 more each side. Bend, straighten, down, bend, straighten, down, bend, straighten, down, bend, straighten, down, bend, straighten, down. 2 more each side. Bend, straighten, down, shift, bend, straighten, down. 1 more each side. Bend, straighten, down. Last one. Bend, straighten, and down. Good job. Okay, go ahead and sit back down if you were standing. Take a sip of water if you need to. We're going back to our ankle E version where we're scooting our foot out. Then we just have 1 more after that. So when you're ready, we'll move on to that foot E version. And remember how I said you could use something slippery earlier? You can do that for this exercise too. If it's really hard for your foot to move, you can put the slippery surface under the balls of your feet. So your heel is still on the floor, but the slippery surface is under the balls of your feet, and it can make it much easier to slide. So if you do have something nearby that would be slippery, so I'm on carpet right now, so this plastic on the outside of the cards moves well. If you're on hardwood or tile floor, a sock might work well. Okay. All right, when you're ready, we'll do 10 each side, 10 on one side and then 10 on the other. You can recline if you want, or if you additionally want to work your core, sit up nice and tall and squeeze your core muscles. So when you're ready, let's start with our right leg. Scoot the toe out or the foot out and in, out and in. So just a small pause, out, in, out, in, out, in. 5 more, out, in, out, in, out. And really try to make sure your leg isn't moving, it's just your ankle. And 2 more, out, in, and last one, out, and in. Good. Not too much of a break. Let's shift over to the other side, out, and in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. 5 more, out, in. Hopefully you're feeling it on the outside of your calf, in, out, in. 2 more, out, in, out, and in. Good. Again, for me, my ankles work a lot for that, so it does feel really good to just do a quick little massage, or if it feels more comfortable, you can get your leg up and massage it that way. Our last and final exercise is going to be the marching. So if you're doing this seated, you can sit up tall and march. That's going to be a little bit harder and you won't be able to get as much motion. So if you want it to be a little bit easier, you can scoot back like this and march that way. If you follow me in standing, then it will look like this. And make sure you're using a sturdy chair. I know you'll lose my head, that's okay. Sturdy chair that won't tip over. We still need to weight shift, but then we're gonna lift our leg up, down, weight shift, up and down. And this is gonna help you for the part of walking that requires this movement. So from the front, it looks like this. Shift our weight, so no weight on this leg, then we can lift it up. Then shift our weight over here and lift. So I'm going to show you from the side. You guys can face whichever direction feels good to you. When you're ready, sit up tall or stand up tall with your core muscles tight. And you're going, if you're standing, shift your weight towards one side, then lift and down. Other side, lift, down, shift, lift, down, shift, lift, down, shift your weight, lift up. And you'll see I'm actually lifting my toes at the same time. That's bonus points. It's definitely harder. If you want to leave them floppy, you absolutely can. Whatever works for you. I just have a habit of doing that. Lift, down. And just lift as high as you can. One side might not be as high as the other. That's totally fine. Even if it only lifts this much. That's great. You're still firing that hip flexor. That's 5 each side. Down. So we have 5 more each side. Lift, down. Shift your weight. Lift, down. Lift, down. If it's getting more challenging because your muscles are fatiguing, then don't lift as high and or don't hold it for as long. Down. Make sure that your standing leg, if you're standing, the knee's not locked. It should be slightly bent. Shift your weight, lift, down. Shift your weight, lift, down. Good job. I know this is a hard one. 2 more each side. Lift and down. Shift your weight, lift, down. 1 more on each side. Lift, down. Shift your weight, lift, and down. Good job. Okay, we're just going to end with 2 quick stretches. If you have stretches that you love, feel free to add those in. We worked a lot of muscles, but especially our hamstrings and our hip flexors, as I'm sure you can feel those right now. So we're going to do a hamstring stretch and a hip flexor stretch. So sit up nice and tall at the edge of your chair. Place one leg forward with a straight knee. Sit up tall. If you're very tight, you might feel a stretch here. If you don't, keep your back flat as you shift your weight forward. And hold it there. I'll show you my other side from this side so you can see what my back looks like. But for now, just keep holding here. And if you can, I actually want you to have your toes pointed down so that they're flat on the ground. That will also get a nice stretch for the top of your ankle, which we also just worked. Okay, and slowly back it up. We'll do the same thing on the other side. I want to demonstrate for you from this side. So sitting up tall, opposite leg forward, hands are on this knee, and keep your back flat. So if I keep my back flat, I feel a decent stretch right here. But if my back isn't flat, if I round it, I can come all the way down here and it's still not that much of a stretch. And I'm more likely to tweak my back. So keep your back flat and just lean as far as you can. And again, if you can get your toes down, you'll feel the stretch in the front of the ankle too. So you'll feel this stretch not only in the front of the ankle, but also the back of your thigh on the leg that's straight. And then back up. All right, and then my favorite hip flexor stretch in a chair. If you don't have armrests, you'll be able to do this, where you swivel one leg over to one side, and then the other leg comes in back. So you're sitting facing sideways, essentially, on your chair. And then you're going to either straighten your back leg, like that, or as straight as you can get it. Doesn't have to be fully straight, or tuck your hips under, and you'll feel the stretch in the front of your hip on the leg that's up front. So find that position, sit up tall. And then when you're ready, get out of that stretch. So if you were straightening your knee, bend it. If you were tucking your hips, stop tucking, and then slowly swivel to the other side. And we're just doing these stretches one time each side. If you have the time, do them again. So again, from here, you can try to straighten that back knee, and you'll feel the stretch up here, or tuck the hips under. Once you feel the stretch here, hold that stretch. Also make sure you're holding on with your arms so you feel stable and not like you'll tip over. If you do have armrests and therefore you're not able to do this as well, later on, if you have a couch or a bed, you can lay on the bed and drop just one leg off, and that's another way to get this stretch. When you're ready, come out of that stretch, so relax that front leg, turn back to the center, and we're all set. So if you want to do any other stretches, I often like the figure 4 one, or you could stretch your upper body, your arms. I just want to give you one last tip. So you guys can keep stretching if you need to, but my theme of the day today, it's just always a good reminder. My theme of the day is, if any exercise feels too easy, before you have the thought of, well, that means I don't have to do it anymore, I want you to try to make it harder. So especially these exercises we did today, the marching, the straightening and bending of the knee, and the lifting of the ankle, as well as going outward of the ankle. Those, as I mentioned, are required for things like walking, transferring, getting into and out of bed, stair climbing, stepping into or out of your shower, into and out of a car, so many movements, standing up from the ground. So if any of those feel easy, or any exercise, I want you to go slower, really slow, steady, controlled. If it's still too easy, then you can also add more of a pause. You'll notice that for each of those exercises, we added a pause. So you can add a longer pause, or or do more repetitions. Instead of just 10 each side, 2 sets, maybe you do 15 each side, 3 sets. So adding more repetitions or more sets to make it more challenging for your endurance, not just your strength. And if any of those things make the exercise harder, then it's something that you should still do. The only time you should get rid of an exercise is if you can go slow and controlled and add a pause and do way more repetitions, like 50 to 70 or 100 repetitions, and it still feels easy. Then it's truly easy. Don't worry about it. Focus on other things. But until then, again, especially with these 3, they are integral exercises to help with function throughout our day-to-day lives. So that's what I would suggest doing if anything feels too easy, to make it harder, and then evaluate if it's truly something worth getting rid of or keeping around for the long haul. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to see you for our next class. Have a good day, everyone.